Welcome to the Art of Slowing Down to Quantum Leap podcast that I created especially for conscious introvert entrepreneurs. And if you desire to grow and quantum scale without the hustle and are ready to discover the missing pieces to effortlessly running a solo-aligned business, then this is for you. And I'm your host, Analena Fuchs, a human design and energetic alignment coach. And my mission with this podcast is to provide you with a shortcut to your most aligned path to success and financial freedom using a powerful combination of human design, science, and spirituality. And I myself have shifted from working 9 to 5 to now enjoying the freedom of creating things on my own terms. And I want to help you do the same. Welcome everybody to another episode of the Art of Slowing Down podcast. It's Analena here, your host, and I am very excited to dive into a very timely topic with all of you, which is about making conscious buying decisions, especially that we're right now at this time of the holidays and Black Friday sales and all these things. And it's really interesting because I was thinking about again, okay, what do I want to talk about my podcast today? And I have been really living in my first, or the energy of the first gene key a lot. This is my unconscious sun in my human design chart, or also called my radiance gene key in the gene keys. And this is the most creative energy we all humans can access. And for me, it's just a very, very important energy for me to feel well and to have more success in all of that. It's especially for my physical well-being. This energy is so important, and it's sometimes very, very unpredictable. Like sometimes there's nothing. I feel like, okay, I don't even know what to say or what to talk about. I feel super uncreative, and then all of a sudden this like creative surge comes through me, and I pick up a pen and I write 3-4 pages, and I'm like, oh wow, this is cool. So right now, how this happened, I was about to write an Instagram post, like one of these carousel posts. And as I was writing, I was like, oh, this is so good, because I responded to some of the emails I have been receiving about Black Friday. So I was like, let me make a post about it. And as I was writing this post, my body was like, woo, this is what the podcast is going to be about. And I'm like, okay, I can still use a post to announce the podcast tomorrow, but let me now put down a couple of notes of what's coming through me and let me actually record this podcast episode. So what I'm sharing here is to actually inspire you that creativity, I think, is very hard to plan. There's no linear process. And the more I surrender to where life is taking me and how it's supposed to be, the more magical it actually turns out. And this is awesome. I'm going to actually talk about this particular gene key more as I dive into this whole conscious buying and Black Friday topic and so forth. But I have the 40th gene key in my core wound, which is my unconscious Mars. And this energy, in the highest expression, we call the city the divine will. And the way that I always describe it is like, I'm just letting, like a faucet, I'm letting the water run through me, whichever is supposed to come through me, right? And for that, I really have to get out of my head. I have to fully drop into my body and let my intuition, my inner knowing, whatever life is pulling me towards, like that it's almost like I'm riding the wave, I'm going with the flow of the river kind of thing. And the shadow of this energy is exhaustion. And this is exactly what I feel. So what has been happening, and mostly for all of you guys, right? There has been a plethora of emails coming into my inbox like, oh my God, this is an amazing sale and you got to jump now. And it's ridiculously discounted. And now is the time and everything, right? And I have to be honest as well. And I think I'm being honest here anyways. But to disclose, there has been certain things that I actually have been thinking about, like last month, something I was like, okay, I think I want to invest into this as the next thing for my business. If this has to do with aesthetics, if this has to do with making things a little bit more efficient and learning from other people, who are much better at organizing and scheduling certain things, because sometimes I can be too much in the flow of things. And I think there's always something to learn. I never know everything, right? But there is this kind of thing of having a balance because it can easily get too much. So anyways, there's a couple of things where I'm like, okay, I wanted to buy this anyways, but there is no immediate pressure. I'm okay if I wait 4 weeks because it's so predictable these days, right? There's Black Friday around the corner and almost everybody runs a sale. So I have learned over the years, well, let me wait and see what's going to be on Black Friday because maybe what I want is going to be discounted. And there was something actually that I have been thinking about purchasing a little while ago, but my body was like, no, maybe I don't really need it. And now it's off like 80%, and I'm probably going to purchase it. So anyways, I also always find that, so talking about the exhaustion of the 40th gene key, and this is something that applies to all of us, right? So the 64 gene keys, yes, you may have them in your chart defined or gate activated or in your gene keys profile, but ultimately, all these 64 archetypal energies, they apply to all of us humans. Yeah, it's just that the people that, so for me, for example, I have this 40th gene key in a very dominant position in my chart, so to say. It's one of my biggest wounds, and it turns into one of my biggest gifts that I'm actually really here to share with people. Like, I'm here to teach this to people, right? It's also in the 6th line for me. But it doesn't mean it's only from me and not for people that have it undefined. Like, you kind of learn through me, right? And through other people that have this energy defined. So this is kind of how it works. And even at the end of the Pearl sequence in the Gene Keys, Richard Rudd mentions, like, it's kind of like the joke of everything. Like, well, all the 64 archetypal energies, they're relevant for all of us, right? It's just that somehow through going really deep into the particular gene keys or gates in our human design chart, we get to access this wisdom, I feel like, in an accelerated, more efficient, more fluid way, right? So anyways, this exhaustion of the 40th gene key is really this idea where, for example, information. I have noticed over the last 2 years, I get so exhausted. I almost want to hide, like put myself in a closet and tell everybody, just go away when there's too much information. I literally, my body is saying, no, it's too much. Don't take in so much stuff from the outside. And I think I have become more and more sensitive about it. And when I first started as a coach, I was very much the consumer. This is something I've also been talking about. Like, for me, there was this shift happening where I realized, okay, I have to shift from just being the consumer to being the creator, to actually opening up my own store because I want to have a business, right? And we all go through cycles. Sometimes we are more the consumer, sometimes we're more taking in information, right? And I think I also have to keep this in mind right now, like who this message is for, right? Because I'm at a stage where, okay, I really want to have a successful business. I already have, and I want to keep expanding on it. So for me, it's like if I take in too much information from other people, it actually dims a little bit, a lot, my creativity and the time that I actually have to create, to inspire, to empower, to teach people, right? But there are people right now, they're going through a phase where it's more about taking in all this information, right? And that's okay. There's no right or wrong or whatsoever. But if you're right now a little bit like me, where you're like, I have been taking in too much information and maybe you feel exhausted as well, I think it's so important to kind of be hypersensitive about what's going on right now with all these Black Friday sales, right? So for me personally, when I get something like, okay, you have here this amazing offer, it's going to change your life, and you're going to have access to 100 ebooks, 100 courses from the best people, it's going to create financial freedom for you, and it's 90% off, or it's 85% off, or it's almost like, oh my God, I have to buy this, right? And the thing is, so for me, what my thought process is, and again, this is my thought process, maybe it's yours, maybe it's going to inspire you, maybe you feel similar, but you weren't able to articulate it. So when I sign up for something like this, my whole body right now is just, or even if I think about signing up, I'm actually not signing up for those things anymore. And I have received several one of those. One was like, oh, for $10, you're going to get access to everything you may possibly need to know for your business, right? And it sounds like, oh my God, this is such an amazing deal. I need to do this. It's such a bargain. And then they say, oh, the value of this is $10,000, or the value of this is $20,000, but you're going to get it for 50 or something like that. Now, let's flip the script here for a second, because you know what's really valuable? I'm asking you right now. Think about it. It's your time, right? Because when you have so much stuff, so much content to consume, is this really, I mean, do you have really the time to watch all of this, to read out of this, to print out all these ebooks? Because I don't, and one of my big principles also that I talk on this podcast about when I work with my clients is always less is more. So, while there may be some very, very amazing Black Friday deals out there, and hey, maybe one of these super big bundles, highly discounted, is the right thing for you, and you can discern like, okay, I just want actually this one out of these 60 here that's being offered to me that I'm going to get to download or have access to, fine, right? That could be beautiful. For me, in my case, anytime I have access to too much information, and I have an undefined head and ajna, so the two centers at the top of my human design body graph, if you look at that, they are white in my case. So I have to be super careful with taking in information from the outside world, because I can feel a lot of pressure. I also have an undefined root center. That is the center at the very bottom of my body graph. And I have to be super, super, super careful with these kind of things, right? And so what happens when there's too much stuff, I feel just so exhausted. There's just too much. My nervous system shuts down. And yeah, I may pay 2 seconds attention to one, and then this, and then my body's like, oh, but I need this, and this is fear of missing out, and all of this is coming up. So, and then I may waste honestly a day or two just thinking about all this stuff, and then realizing, oh wow, it would have been better for me if I would not have jumped on any of these kind of things, right? So, and the other thing is we also have to realize that we don't really get transformation or results from more information. That's a really, really big misconception. And yeah, some information is helpful, is great. And of course, we also need information, right? We want to keep educating ourselves and all these kind of things. But if you're really looking to have a big change in your life, right, where something is holding you back, you have a specific goal or desire in your heart, but no matter what you do, it feels like kind of hard. I have learned from my experience that it's mostly because I'm overloading myself with external stuff, especially more information, and I'm not letting go of what's actually between what I want and where I am. Because it's often like some resistance I feel, and most often these are fears, right? It may be the fear of success, it may be the fear of outshining other people in my family, all these, I mean, we have all these fears. And again, all these 64 gates in the human design chart, all these 64 gene keys and archetypal energies, in the shadow, they're all fears. Yeah, so we all have a lot of fears, and we tend to think that more information, more stuff is kind of going to make these fears go away, and then we're going to have these magical results, right? Because somebody else figured out the secret sauce. And what I have really learned with human design is that no matter which 5-step process I follow that was the way for somebody else, that is usually never the way for me, right? And especially if it's like these, oh, you have to do X, Y, Z, and then this, and this, and this, and this, right? And I think there's also so many books about this. It's whenever a process allows you to trust yourself, to bring in your own flavor, to do it your way, then that's a whole different story, right? But if it's like, already the wording I'm kind of allergic to when people say, these are the exact steps you have to take, or I'm revealing my exact process of how you can make X amount of money. I'm already like, okay, dude, I don't want to hear that. Like, I want to figure out my process. So if you can help me tune into what feels right and aligned for myself, yeah, I may want to have your help. I may want to invest into that. So, and anyways, that's my experience, right? I'm just sharing, I'm talking out my thought process here that has been coming up for me. But the big thing is, yeah, I get really overwhelmed, and I would love to hear from you guys. How is it for you? Do you get overwhelmed? Or do you feel like you're buying from pressure? And the thing is too, there's a little bit of an addiction cycle here, because so you buy more information, right? Let's say you get all these big packages for these highly discounted things, and then you don't even know where to start because it's just too much. There's no way you even have the time to look at all these things, right? Then what happens is we feel like we're even more disconnected from who we truly are. We're even more disconnected from having clarity. We're even more disconnected from actually reaching the goals we have in our hearts. And then we think, oh, what's wrong with me? Again, right? And then we think again, well, I'm missing something. And then we seek more information and we seek more information. So that's an addictive vicious cycle, if you ask me. And I think the marketing industry, and I think this is very broad and generalized, but in a way is taking advantage of that, right? Because they know how humans operate. So if you ask me, what we really need is actually to slow down. So maybe you have in front of you right now these 5 or 6 different Black Friday offers, and you feel like, oh my God, I want to have them all. Like, I would invite you right now, hey, why don't you go meditate today, or go out in nature, have a walk, don't even think about anything, and perhaps ask the question to the universe, which of these offers, if any, is actually going to benefit me? Which is actually aligned for me? Put out the question. And if there's something that's really for you, because let's be real, at the same time, there's incredible stuff being offered all the time, and right now especially, right? And maybe for some people, this is also a huge gift, because some of you may not be able to afford when it's regular price, right? And you feel deeply, deeply grateful that there's something right now that's being offered that is priced in a way that is affordable for you, and it may change your life, right? But take that time to slow down and evaluate what can really be of service to you right now. And perhaps, because some of the things that I'm considering right now is that I usually will spend a lot of time on trying to figure it out myself, but other people have already mastered it. They're teaching it, like, hey, this is how you do it. So I don't have to spend hours and hours to watch the YouTube videos to put it all together. Like, it's money gen energy, right? I want to have some shortcuts from other people. And or for social media, like, maybe there's a better way for me. So sometimes I'm doing it right now, right? I wait until kind of the last day to record a podcast, and that's also part of my process, because I feel like I'm really called right now to embrace the energy of the first gene key more, where I can just really flow with my creativity. And there will be for some time, but I feel already there will be a time where I'm craving, okay, I want to have a 2-month podcast episodes recorded so I can be on a vacation and I don't have to do a thing, right? Or even with social media, I'm very much posting when I feel that intuitive fit, when I feel that creative energy come through, but I always then post it in the moment. But perhaps my goal is a little bit, hey, I want to plan it a little bit more, but still be super creative and never, post from kind of like push or like I have to. So I guess it's never black or white, right? It's very unique for everybody. And one of the things that I want to address in terms of your human design chart, right? Because how we make purchasing decisions has a lot to do with the Emotional Solar Plexus Center. So if you right now look at your human design chart, you want to look to the very right, kind of almost at the bottom, but on the right, there is this little triangle. It tends to be brown if it's colored in, but it really depends on what software you use to pull your human design chart. But the Emotional Solar Plexus Center is the center for our emotions, our feelings, our desires, right? And I'm going to talk about first if you have it defined, but it will also address if you have it undefined, because I think this is really misunderstood often. So in human design, if somebody has a defined solar plexus, you will always have emotional authority. And this basically means that by nature, on a regular basis, almost like women have their cycle, right? You have emotional highs and lows. And this depends on what wave you have. Some have more, some have less. And I'm not going to go into the details of this right now, but just know it's normal for you that sometimes you feel really high and excited and yeah, everything is great, feel like on top of the world. And then sometimes it can actually really quickly crush down and like, ooh, I feel really melancholic. I feel really blah. And we tend to think there's something wrong with us, right? You have no idea how many people I've talked to and they were like, oh my God, just knowing this just changed my life because I thought I have to fix this, right? But that's who you are. You actually create this energy from within yourself and you send it out into the world. And this is actually a time for us to not make especially big purchasing decisions. So anytime when I have somebody with emotional authority, I'm like, okay, if you're about to make a big investment, if you're about to make a big decision in your life, just make sure you write out your wave, sleep on it, and never ever make a decision in this amplified, excited, like, oh my God, I need to do this energy, right? And I have also noticed for smaller things, when I'm in this like hyped up energy, usually I regret it the next day. And I have, just FYI, I'm going to talk about this more. So I have a completely open solar plexus, so I do not have emotional authority. But I'm going to get to this, how writing out these waves also applies to people with an undefined solar plexus. It's going to be a little bit different. But for all of us, we don't want to make buying decisions, even small ones, where you're just like, oh my God, I need this, where this is this hyped up kind of energy, right? So also with the emotional waves, there may be this need sometimes to just be alone and then be with people, right? This kind of push-pull energy with that as well. And especially when you make a big purchasing decision, if you have sacral authority, I mean, if you have a sacral defined, you're not going to have sacral authority, but if you're a generator or manifesting generator, if you have emotional authority, you will always have the sacral defined as well, right? So if you still have this gut feeling, this is something for you, and you allow yourself to ride out the wave, and if you keep having this yes feeling in your body, and when you're then back in a neutral space, after you have your high and your low with your wave, your emotions, if it still feels like a yes in your body and you feel really calm and grounded, then it's a yes for you. Now, you may still have fears. What if it's not going to work out? Or I shouldn't do this? What are people going to think about me? But that's where I would say, okay, have the courage to actually invest, have the courage to do it, because you waited, you let your body really feel it. And if it's from a grounded and calm place, then it's always a yes from what I have been experiencing. And if you are a projector or a manifester, for example, and you have emotional authority, then it's also the same thing, right? You want to ride out your wave, and it will still be a feeling in your body, right? And it's going to be slightly different for all of us, but it's never from the mind. That's the big message here for all of us. We don't want to make a decision from the mind. We're not here to make decisions with the mind. It all happens below the throat. It happens in the body. So how does it feel in your body? If it's a yes, I always say it's a more light, expansive kind of feeling. It really feels grounded. It feels calm. But if it's a hyped up kind of energy that we make buying decisions from, it feels like very head based, where we're trying to overthink it, or we're rationalizing, oh, I should do this because of this, and da 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 da. We're kind of creating some kind of causal thought patterns to say like, oh, if I buy this, and I'm going to be successful here, but we're disconnected from how it feels in the body, because your body may be a no, but your mind is kind of creating the story why you should do it, or you're taking on other people's logic that are trying to convince you that why you have to do that. And that often happens with marketing, right? Like we read this and we're like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. I really need this. And we feel like our life, our business depends on it, right? But then you buy it, and then 2 days later, you're like, oh gosh, really? Like, I don't even have the time, and I'm not even interested in that, right? Now, if you have an undefined solar plexus, so if that little triangle on the right of your body graph is white, then you will not have emotional authority. Now, if you are a generator, manifesting generator, you will always have sacral authority, like me, for example. But if you're a manifester or projector, I mean, manifested, you can have splenic authority or ego authority. And as a projector, you can have also ego, splenic, self-projected, and also environmental authority, where you're a mental projector as well, right? So there's many different ways. And especially as a projector, you want to talk things out. So even if that's, maybe talk about it, if this product is even for you. And you may already realize as you talk, like, well, not really. Or maybe it's like, yeah, absolutely, this is totally for me. And you again, you talk out, but you feel it in your body, right? And so the thing, when we have an undefined solar plexus, so for all of us, right, this can be for all types. I mean, reflectors, you guys will always have an undefined solar plexus, right? The thing is that we can take on these emotional waves, right? I can amplify somebody's excitement. I can amplify somebody's emotional low. And I also want to say, like, it's not that people with emotional authority are the only ones that feel emotions, or they are the bad guys, that's why we feel low. No, we are all one. We are all interconnected. It's just that I experience this in a different way, in a greater variability. We all humans feel emotions, right? It's just for me, with a completely open, completely wide solar plexus, I have times where I kind of feel nothing. I don't even know sometimes what I'm feeling, or even what I want or desire is like blank. And other times I can feel very, very overwhelmed because I feel so much. And I'm like, I don't even know. Right. So I can feel an emotional high where somebody is like, oh my God, this is amazing. I can feel it times 10. And I can be very susceptible. And I have done this in the past, especially before I knew about human design, where I made these purchasing decisions from this place because it felt so freaking good in the moment. And like, oh my gosh, I need this and it's so cool. And then I made the purchase, even if it was something slow. And I'm like, okay. And also when I'm in an emotional low, sometimes we may feel like, oh, there's something wrong with me. I need something to fix me, right? It's also not a good place to make purchasing decisions from. This is why this may be a little bit against the common teachings in human design, but I have done enough human design readings now. I've talked to so many people, plus my own experience with having a completely open solar plexus. We are all not designed to make, or tend to not be designed to make, big purchases from a super excited kind of energy. This is like this hyped up energy. For me, it's always right when you feel calm and grounded. And for that, I need to get out of the space and opinions and ideas or excitement from other people, right? Because it's so easy for all of us to just take this in and amplify it. And I think that marketing actually uses this knowledge because they know, well, how can we manipulate people's emotions, right? So we can sell more, so we can close more deals. And again, we all tend to buy when the emotion is really high and excited. So this is why the slowing down is just so, so utterly important. And I think this Black Friday could actually be really, really good practice for you to play with this a little bit, because maybe you have right now a list of 5 things you want to buy and you're so excited about. Write them down. Again, ask the question to the universe. Maybe give yourself that space to sleep on it, and then see how does it feel tomorrow. Maybe only 2 of those things really feel aligned for you. And you're super grateful that you gave yourself the space to make a truly aligned decision. And I also have noticed for myself so many times when I have the courage to not fall for the FOMO, the fear of missing out, because I think that plays a big role so many times when it's about buying things and it's the Black Friday deal, you need to jump on it right now. When I have the courage to actually be with the discomfort, because so often we actually take action or buy something because we don't want to feel the discomfort of missing out, right? We're scared that, oh, I'm not going to have this information that may change my life. But when we say no, because we feel in the body it's a no, but the mind may still be like, oh, but I need this, right? What happens so many times in my case is that it opens up the space for something that's really aligned for me, because I had the courage to say no for what's not aligned for me. And then I wait. Something way better. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is what really feels good to me. But if I would have invested last week in a gazillion things that I really don't need from hyped up excitement, my bank account would be like, not really right now. And I'm like, damn it. So I don't know how it is for you. I have experienced this so many times, but I have purchased many, many times stuff. And then I realized something a week later and I was like, oh, I wish I wouldn't have jumped on this so prematurely and so quickly. So yeah, this is my message for you guys. And I also have to be honest, I felt a little bit of the pressure. Like I really need to run some Black Friday sales myself right now. And because right now, at this moment, I feel so overwhelmed. I was like, okay, everybody is putting this out there. I think it's actually the worst time to run another Black Friday sale because that's what everybody is doing. And I mean, human design, you guys, is all about standing out and doing things differently. Like, why do we all want to run this sale once a year at the freaking same time? Isn't that kind of silly, even if you think about it logically? And at the same time, it's also like, well, it's something we have got accustomed to. And for now, I decided, as you know, I'm a manifesting generator, plus I'm a moon Gemini. So I can change my mind on the fly. But for now, what feels right to me is that I will do some sort of a holiday sale, but not with a super crazy time limit, a little bit more relaxed, and offer you some things that I truly believe are life-changing. And it may be what you have been waiting for, but not today. Today, I don't have any offer right now in my pocket. I just got back from a little out-of-town trip, but something will be coming. And also, if you're more interested in the whole money conversation about, especially this topic about how to make conscious buying decision, also how to sell more in a conscious way. This is something that's really important for me, that I also sell in a way that I feel is an integrity. And I sometimes struggle with this still because I make sales and I make discounted things, but I always do it from a way where I know what I offer really has the value of what I'm putting the price on it. Or usually I like to under promise and over deliver. That's kind of my strategy. And I like that because I know I also like this when I purchase things from other people. I literally cannot stand when people over exaggerate and then what's being delivered is like, is this a joke? Like, I don't like it. It's just not my cup of tea. So, and also just to share with you the Healy. I don't know if you guys know, I'm running it actually right now, the Coherence. This is a little microcurrent device that I have been using. I have done also some other podcast episodes about it. And I also sell this. Like I have people that are purchasing this through me, but I have been doing it in a very relaxed way. And I talk about it sometimes and then I don't. And I share it when I feel it's appropriate, like right now, for example. And they have sales, right? And I always tell people, well, you will know when the right time is for you. And I always say there will always be another sale, right? It's not like, oh my God, it's only this Black Friday sale and never ever again. Yeah, sometimes you may not have the sale you want, but it may be the right time for you to purchase even at a higher price. And sometimes you want to wait until the next sale comes about. But with anything, if something is really aligned, it will just happen. And the right price will be the right price for you. But don't ever make those big purchasing decisions from pressure. And I know if you're anything like me, you might feel a lot of pressure. So also these fast action bonuses, I think there can be kind of a middle way for that, where like, okay, the first X amount of people get in, but it's not just like 5 where people feel like really pressured. It's a good amount of people, or there's a certain discount for at least a week, because I know people with emotional authority, often they need a week to really feel into it, if that is aligned. And that's why I'm so thankful as well for human design, that it has opened up my perspective for that. So happy holidays, all you guys. I hope this was a little bit inspiring for you and really helps you to make your aligned purchasing decisions, right? And if you would like to dive deeper into this, learn more about conscious selling, conscious buying. So in the Conscious Money Collective, that's a membership I have. Okay, now I'm actually making a little bit of an offer. You can join us there anytime. We actually did a comprehensive training on it where I looked deeper into elements and different centers in the human design chart as well. how to make conscious purchasing and also selling decisions that really feel aligned, that feel in integrity, that are not from a place of FOMO. Plus, we do all things human design, gene keys, money in there, and the community has been growing nicely. Currently, it is priced at $22 a month, and I'm loving it. And you're always invited to join us, not only on Black Friday, but also now as well. So this was it. My final invitation for you is to have the courage to say no sometimes, have the courage to wait, have the courage to slow down, and really trust that not more is always better for you, but because maybe actually less in your life is actually bringing you the insights that are really moving the needle for you, because there's some wisdom inside of you that just needs some space, that just needs some silence, that maybe just needs some or little information or no information at all, so it can actually come out of you, right? Because the more information you put in your mind, it's kind of like almost putting in the back corner, and it's kind of like saying, hi, I wanna come out, but because we are so overloading ourselves and getting so exhausted with taking on all this stuff, it's so hard for that wisdom to come out of us. So this was it. It's 11:11 right now. The clock just switched. It's perfect. I'm sending you all my love, all my blessings, and I would absolutely love to hear how this episode landed with you, and I'm excited to be with you all on the next episode. Bye, everyone. Thank you for listening to this episode. And if you enjoyed what you heard today, then please subscribe, rate, and leave a review on iTunes. And if you also know someone that you know in your heart could benefit from listening to this podcast, then I invite you to please share and help me reach more conscious leaders so we together can create global impact. I truly appreciate you, and see you next time.